Helen, all caught up in thoughts of her first love, paid a lot to arrange a fake death so she could escape on her wedding day. She aimed to start a blissful life abroad with her first love. On the wedding day, as planned, a bullet would pierce her chest, granting her a rebirth amidst my despair. But when the real pain hit, I held her close, her face stained with blood and tears. If she was set on dying, why fake it? I'd help her out. I was never the clueless rich kid looking for a wife to control my life. My suit was soaked in blood as I stood there dazed, with Helen's parents shaking my shoulders. Say something. How did Helen get shot? Did you make enemies? They shouted. I fell down under their grip, trembling at the sight of blood on my hands. I glanced around in panic before rushing to the open window. He's gonna jump. Stop him. My family's bodyguard tackled me, catching my anguished cries. Helen's gone. I don't want to live without her. Let me go. And then I fainted right there, with Helen's parents stunned into silence, a hint of guilt flickering in their eyes. They didn't expect Steve to be so devoted to Helen. I shuddered to think what would happen if he found out about her planned fake death. Lying in the hospital, I pretended to be unconscious. They talked freely in my room, thinking I was out cold. I cursed them silently, idiots. If it weren't for Charlie, Helen and I could have had a wonderful marriage. But her happiness mattered most, leaving poor Steve to suffer. They sighed over Helen's plight, not sparing a single thought for me. Apparently, Helen shared her fake death plan with her parents, with me being the only one left in the dark. Ironically, if Helen truly died, nobody would buy into her actual demise. A doctor entered, sighing and shaking his head. We're sorry, we did our best, he announced. Helen's mom went full-on dramatic, fainting in her husband's arms. I woke to see it, screamed, and collapsed. I swallowed sleeping pills I had ready, looking hopelessly at the doctor before feigning unconsciousness. Helen, ours was an arranged marriage with plenty of other prospects I could have chosen. Yet, I picked her, the girl who once handed me a handkerchief at school. My parents didn't get it. I could choose a woman from a more affluent family, but I went for Helen due to a youthful yearning. Steve, marrying Helen might not be easy, they warned. Clutching the surprise gift I had for her, I waved at my parents and left the Booth's big house, hearing their resigned sighs echo behind me. I reached Helen's yacht to find her and her socialite friends already in full swing at their party. I snuck on board from the other side, wanting to give her the gift I'd handcrafted. Helen, do you really dislike Steve that much? He's pretty good looking, isn't he? Why a fake death? I heard as I opened the door. I paused, yet my knuckles turned white. My heart only beats for Charlie. I'd rather die than marry someone else. Let Steve wed my fake corpse and be a widower forever. The laughter inside shattered the vision I held dear, and I tossed my gift into the sea, watching it sink. A final tear hit the water, causing a ripple. I entered the cabin, playing clueless amidst her friends. To Helen and Steve's engagement. We'll witness your happiness at the wedding next month. I raised my champagne high, but despite the merry cheer, my gaze grew colder watching the bubbles vanish. Helen, here's hoping our married life turns out just perfect. When I came to, the hospital room was packed. Our parents, some friends of Helen. Steve, you're awake. How are you feeling? They asked. My eyes vacant. Tears began to fall uncontrollably. I turned to Helen's parents with a pleading cry. Please, let me see Helen once more. I beg you. My parents were genuinely concerned for me, but everyone else's looks were pity, mockery, guilt. I noted it all. Still, I needed to stick to my plan. I was in a wheelchair being pushed into the morgue. It was cold inside, but thankfully it didn't have the nasty smell of decaying bodies. Helen was lying there, her head peeking out from under a white sheet. I threw myself beside her, crying my heart out. A group of folks stood behind me, watching my shoulders shake. Only I knew I was barely holding back laughter. While they weren't looking, I carefully checked the scar behind Helen's ear. Once I was sure it was really her, I leaned close and whispered, Helen, I'm so close to getting everything I want. It's too bad you can't see the show I've staged for you. Helen's mom shook her head, covering her face, and walked out. Her dad followed her, gently patting her shoulder to comfort her, not noticing the tiny camera on his collar. "Why are you crying? Isn't Helen supposed to be abroad? No need to keep up the act here. That fake death agency did a good job, finding a body that's 90% similar to Helen's." Helen's mom felt a bit better, wiping her tears away. "Thank goodness it's just an act. We should discuss the divorce with the Booths soon so our daughter can come back." They nodded and returned to the morgue. In the end, they forced me back to my hospital room, afraid I'd pass out again. Alone in the room, the bodyguard who stopped me handed me the recording device he'd taken off. Even he, usually expressionless, frowned. "The Whites? Huh. How dare they team up to fool you, sir? Disgusting." I fiddled with the tiny camera, crushing it easily with my fingers. If they don't give me this chance, how else can I pull off my plan? I assume the stand-in has been sent abroad? Have him contact me when he lands. After leaving the hospital, I moved into the house Helen and I shared. On the day of her funeral, it was raining. I held an umbrella, with a black hat and mask hiding my face. A flirty voice broke in. A woman stood next to me, gesturing with her hand like a gun. "Seems like my dear brother's bad luck killed his future wife on their wedding day. How can the Booths let you inherit anything now?" Annie raised an eyebrow at me, her hands busy, until I grabbed her fingers. I slowly twisted them backward, only letting go when she grimaced and begged. "No matter how unlucky I am, the Booths won't let a bastard child inherit. Dear sister, worry about yourself. Mess with me again, and I'll chop off your fingers." I brushed past her, laying flowers on Helen's grave. As I walked away, I saw Annie's angry expression, her teeth clenched. "You wait. I'll catch you slipping and beat you completely." Annie is my dad's illegitimate child, older than me. Proof that he cheated when married. Yet Mom didn't leave. She brought Annie into the Booths. She'd stroke my cheek gently. "The Booths belongs to you. If I divorce, Steve loses his rights." Her half-closed eyes on me taught me Mom wasn't as naive as she seemed. Her calculating gaze matched mine as rain hit the umbrella, masking the bodyguard's deliberately lowered voice. "The substitute is abroad, living with Charlie, and hasn't been discovered." I wiped my rainy hands, tossed the handkerchief into a trash bin, but watched Annie approaching. "Leak this when the time's right. She's sure to cause a scene." A month later, I got out of the car, waving at cameras and reporters. The bodyguard leaned in, speaking softly. "Everything's set, sir." I nodded slightly, smiling as I took Helen's mom's arm into the banquet hall. Passing a lounge, Helen's mom seemed flustered and excused herself to fix her hair, slipping inside. "Helen, why are you back? And with Charlie?" Inside, a woman sat held by Charlie, looking smug. "Mom, don't worry. Steve should be the anxious one. He's about to be the laughingstock." Charlie giggled nearby. "Exactly, Mom. Once he falls apart, we'll take over the company. Claim it's all his shady plan." I heard every word through my earpiece. When I passed Annie, I tapped it lightly. "Dear brother, looking sharp. I've got a surprise for you. Enjoy it later." After I left, I saw her enter the lounge. I rubbed my temples. Fools together. This will be a great show. With a wine glass in hand, I was discussing a partnership. The banquet hall doors opened, and Annie rushed to my side. "Hey, isn't that your supposedly dead on the wedding day wife?" She covered her mouth, pretending to be shocked, but her eyes were all squinty and mocking, like she was laughing underneath it all. The whole ballroom buzzed with chatter as soon as Charlie and Helen walked in, and people stepped aside to make way for them. "Helen's supposed to be dead, right? So why is she here today, and who's the guy with her? Is she just here to show off? How is she even alive? They already had the funeral, didn't they?" Charlie cut through the whispers and suddenly dropped to his knees at my feet, his eyes red as he looked at me. "I know the Booths have a huge empire, but how could you send someone to kill Helen just for the wedding? Lucky for her, she made it through anyway." His accusation silenced the whole room. Everyone's eyes were on me, and it felt like they'd already deemed me guilty. "Good thing she's alive. How could you do such a thing?" You're a disgrace to the booths. Annie's words just added more fuel to the fire, confirming my supposed crime. Everyone pointed fingers at me. Steve is so heartless. He must be marrying into the whites for their wealth. He's just a greedy snake. A man like him should be kicked out of the booths, maybe even banned from setting foot in a city. I knew Annie had her people stirring up the crowd, trying to take me down then and there. I locked eyes with Annie, swirling the wine in my glass. There was a gleam of excitement in her eyes, an eyebrow raised at me. I smiled back. Suddenly, Charlie launched himself and grabbed Annie's foot, begging and bowing at her feet. Annie, I know you're doing this for your brother, but I'm begging you, let us go. We've been hunted abroad and can't survive like this. I staggered back, caught by my double in a white gown. Foxy eyes filled with tears of despair. I let the wine glass slip from my grip, shattering on the floor. Red wine splashed onto Annie's high heels, but it didn't seem to show at all. How could you do this? You know I love Helen. Do you want me to die with her on our wedding day? Annie panicked, dropping to shake Charlie's shoulders. What nonsense are you spouting? You said Steve was out to get you and Helen. Charlie's pitiful look evoked sympathy from everyone around. Get away. Charlie, why won't you tell the truth? Why push everything onto me? I get it, Steve paid you off, right? How much did he offer? I'll double it, no, triple it. Charlie shook his head, gesturing as Annie gave him one last shake and he passed out. It's you. Steve, you bribed him to frame me. I'm your sister. Would you really do this to me for the inheritance? Annie shot up, pointing at me despite the dizziness from standing too fast. How can you say that? Now that the truth's out, you're trying to pin it all on me? People watched, unsure what to believe, just there for the drama. But then the ballroom's big screen lit up, showing Annie's chat logs. From hiring hitmen to verbal threats and even a voice clip. I want Steve completely destroyed. Then the booths will be mine. With the evidence out, everyone's glares turned on Annie, filled with contempt. Surprise, dear sister. Do you like the gift I prepared for you? Hearing my low voice, Annie's eyes widened, bloodshot with rage. Lips broken from biting too hard, she lunged for my throat. Cursing me, her mouth opened wide with fury, her hands strangling me with all her might. Damn bastard! I'll kill you! Guards nearby rushed to peel her hands off me, and as I gasped for air, I looked down at Annie pinned to the ground. I grabbed a bottle of wine from the table and dumped it over her. The bruises on my neck were visibly blue-black, showing she really meant to choke me to death. You're not thinking straight. Maybe some wine will clear your head. Tie her up and send her to the booths. Let's not air our dirty laundry here. Charlie was sent to the hospital because he fainted, and my double drove me back to the booths. On the way, I leaned against the window, watching the scenery speed by. Today was risky. What if she had a knife? My fingers touched my neck, feeling the pain. A knife would have been more effective, but she wouldn't dare use one. Today was a setup, my design for Annie. I leaked the story of Helen's staged death abroad. Annie, catching wind of it, tried to frame me as a murderer. Even though those chat records were fake, the last thing said was something she actually said when she flew abroad to see them. I doubt the booths will do much to her, but either way, she's got no chance of getting an inheritance. Is Helen's identity working out for you? You might be expected to work at the company in a few days, so make sure you don't blow your cover. The double nodded, pushed down the gas pedal, and the car became silent again. The booth's living room had an expensive handmade carpet, and Annie was forced to kneel there. Her father, in anger, whipped beside her but couldn't bring himself to actually hit her. Her mom sat on the sofa with a teacup, watching the father's punishment with similar reluctance. She gripped the cup tighter out of frustration. As I opened the door, he rushed over, tears falling as he saw the bruises on my neck. Does it hurt? Have you seen a doctor? After comforting Mom a bit, I glanced at the two in the living room and let out a self-deprecating laugh. Seems like my father's expectations for his illegitimate daughter haven't changed a bit. Out of all the marble floors, he chose to let her kneel on soft carpet. Mom, don't be so hard on her. I'm sure she means well for me. Hearing my words, Dad immediately wanted to let Annie stand, but he had to keep up appearances, so he left her kneeling. Even though she messed up and the whole town's talking about us, she's still my sister, right? Even if everyone's trash-talking the booths, it doesn't matter. We can just live our lives behind closed doors. I saw on the way over that the company's stock price took a dip and we lost some partners. But we can find others to work with. I coughed lightly a few times, intentionally exposing the bruises on my neck to Mom. I kept saying it's no big deal, but really I was talking about the company. Dad cares most about his company. He has hopes and affection for his kids. But the company always comes first. Annie heard me but didn't see Dad's expression. Dad, I'm your only daughter. You can't just stop loving me. Isn't my mom stuck outside because of someone? I almost couldn't help but laugh at Annie's words. It's like she's setting herself up for failure. Sure enough, the next second, Dad's whip actually landed on her. I leaned into Mom, watching Annie's misery. Good thing she spent 18 years with those clueless people before coming here. If I had more opponents like her, the whole of a city would probably be in my hands. After being viciously whipped 10 times, Annie passed out, and Dad went straight to the study to urgently handle the situation. I went back to the new place with the double I hired to be Helen, tapping my finger on the glass ashtray as I watched the door. Finally, a man walked into the room. The smoke I exhaled blurred his face, but it cleared, and I saw him. Charlie, you're late. Charlie waved away the smoke with his hand and sat next to me, downing the champagne my double handed him. You have no idea. The whites surrounded the hospital room like hawks. If I wasn't slick, I'd still be stuck over there. I've known Charlie for a long time. Back then, I fell down, and everyone enjoyed my embarrassment. Only Helen offered me a handkerchief and helped me up. But the handkerchief Helen gave me had a name on it, Charlie. Naturally, I grew fond of Helen and had to investigate that name, which led me to him. I assumed they were dating and decided to back off. But then Charlie stopped me on the way home from school. Nervously, he looked up, gripping his uniform as if I were some kind of monster. Helen and I aren't dating. Can you tell your lackeys to stop bullying me? I thought this would turn into some dramatic novel standoff, but all I saw in his eyes was fear. That's when I realized Helen liked Charlie, setting up these scenarios to play the heroine. Helen, what a piece of work. I assured Charlie it wasn't me, and that's how we became secret friends. One day it was pouring rain. Charlie ran out of the equipment room, a bloodstain on his uniform. Confused, I followed and saw the note he threw at me. It supposedly had my handwriting, inviting him to meet there. Despite being soaked by rain, you could tell it was a cut and paste job with my handwriting. Clearly, Annie had masterminded the whole thing since she had access to my stuff at home. I reached out to Charlie with trembling hands, afraid he'd reject me. Believe me, I didn't do anything to harm you. This time we both got played. I have a plan for revenge, but it'll take time. Are you with me? In the rain, with his hair sticking to his face, the space was as empty as it was vast. His cold hand grasped mine, just as frigid. After that day, Charlie officially started dating Helen. The school buzzed with gossip about them. Say what you will, buddy. She may not love you back, but you're still a good guy. Annie flipped through my book, clearly annoyed. I shot her a glare, but I knew my high school self wasn't any threat to her. If Charlie ends up marrying Helen, do you think he'll come after you for revenge? She asked. Just focus on your studies and find a good woman to marry in the future. She tossed my stuff on the floor and walked out of my room, knowing Dad would always back her up. Annie, like a lion stalking its prey, waits silently to strike and break the neck at just the right moment. We've got time on our side. Charlie, with my guidance, was playing hot and cold with Helen, keeping her hooked. I quietly tipped Helen's mom off. She's super protective of her daughter. After hearing the scoop, she called Charlie out right after exams. Helen and I are true love. How could you taint our relationship with money? Please take this card back. Helen was hiding, eavesdropping on everything Charlie said. I watched her from across, digging deeper, swearing she'd never let Charlie down. Stirring my drink, I thought, young love, so intense because of opposition, driving people to fight the world for it. But how could this story end just like that? Helen, Charlie's been sent overseas, I said. Just like that, he became her unforgettable first love. Especially someone like Helen. She'd spin a whole drama in her head, imagining herself as the love-stricken CEO whose first love was sent abroad. But honestly, first loves are a dime a dozen. Everyone's got one, even Charlie. While searching for a Helen lookalike, a guy with the exact proportions as Helen sat before me. I'll be your pawn. Let's cut Charlie off, he offered. Watching Charlie cozy up to the lookalike made me shake my head. Seriously? You really can love while she's wearing Helen's face? Not at all weird. Charlie rolled his eyes, holding the lookalike's hand tight. I love her soul. Besides, soon she'll look just like her. The lookalike, under my guidance, underwent changes to morph into Helen's image. Once our engagement news hit, Charlie called Helen, hinting at the next stage death plan, just so these lovebirds could be together forever. We're heading toward the final act, and I promise it'll be so gripping you won't look away. Recently, both families decided to hold a press conference to clear things up and save face in a city. Me and the lookalike dressed like a happy couple, waving to the media. Mom stood up, bowed. I'm sorry my foolish daughter caused all this. I apologize for wasting everyone's time and resources. Dad only apologized without mentioning anything about punishing Annie. I knew what she was up to. Helen's parents also bowed and answered some questions. We're here for another announcement. Our families are starting a new venture together. Please watch the promotional video. Helen's dad gestured to the big screen. The collaborative project started playing. Me and the lookalike shared a glance, waiting for the drama to unfold. Then the video jumped. Suddenly, it's Helen's parents' voices, discussing Helen's fake death plan in my hospital room. Turn it off. Helen's dad yelled to the folks managing the screen, but all cables were yanked and the screen kept rolling. In the footage, my pale face crying in the morgue, while they chuckled behind my back. The video moved to Helen in the planning office, signing off on various fake death methods. She finally pointed to the most dramatic one. This one. I want to see Steve's despair as he watches me die in front of him. Video. Helen laughed like she'd already pictured my heartbreak. Then it switched to another angle with a new person taking the plan papers. The face was hidden but clearly. It was Annie's voice. Oh, they picked this one? Let's make the fake blood bags thinner and swap the blanks for real bullets. Then I'll expose everything, and Steve's finished. The two companies, all mine. The stand-in snatched the microphone from Helen's dad and stood up amidst the chaos. Sorry, everyone. I'm not really Helen. I just look like her and was forced by them to impersonate Helen. When Helen's mom heard this, she realized her daughter truly died in that accident. She rushed over and grabbed my dad by the collar. Your son caused my daughter's death. I want justice for my daughter. Helen's dad looked in disbelief at the scene unfolding. He muttered Helen's name and mentioned the company going under, then suddenly fell straight back. It wasn't until the police and ambulance arrived that the chaos ended. Helen's mom had scratched my father's face, and Mom was pushed to the ground trying to stop her. The press conference turned into a joke throughout the city. I sat in the police car, tears streaming down my face. Where did the stand-in go? A female police officer spoke up, and everyone started searching for the stand-in. After all, she was a witness needed to point out the guilty party. I had already arranged for her to slip away quietly during the chaos and head to a pre-arranged spot. I saw her run that way. The police sent people to chase after her. When they reached an abandoned half-finished building, they saw the stand-in standing on the rooftop. Annie, please let me go. Don't kill me. With her final scream, a gunshot startled all the officers. By the time the police got there, they found a body burning in flames, with Annie sitting in shock nearby. Annie held a silver handgun in her hands, waving frantically as soon as she saw the cops. It wasn't me, I didn't do anything. She shot herself and then poured gas to set herself on fire. It wasn't me. After Helen's father fainted, he hit his head and is now in a vegetative state. My dad's in a similar spot since his eye was almost blinded when Helen's mom scratched him. When I got to the hospital, I had a document in my hands. I smiled as I handed it to Helen's mom. Mom, Helen and I got a marriage certificate. She's gone and Dad's not doing well. Please sign this contract. This is an offer to buy the company at the highest market price. Once you sign it, you won't have to worry for the rest of your life. Otherwise, the company will probably be carved up fast. Helen's mom glanced at my smile, then at Helen's dad in his condition, and finally signed the document, clenching her teeth. Thanks for signing the share transfer contract. I'll cover Dad's medical expenses, so you don't need to worry. I'll be responsible till the end. Hearing that, even a fool would understand. It was you. You were the one behind all this. I raised my hand, pinning her to her seat with a smirk. You got proof? Without evidence, don't accuse blindly. Charlie's car was waiting at the hospital door. He whistled for me to get in, and only after I buckled my seatbelt did he speak. You've been planning this a long time. Huh? Seems like it wasn't all just revenge for me. Was it 'cause of Annie? What did she do to make you hate her that much? I motioned for him to be quiet. Even though Charlie and I were partners and brothers in arms, some secrets we keep from each other. Seeing my mood, he didn't press further. Then he parked outside the prison. I'll wait here for you. Go see Annie one last time. Annie was charged with intentional homicide and illegal possession of firearms. Dad tried to get her a suspended death sentence, but I intervened, ruining his plan. Annie, now with a shaved head and sunken eyes, looked almost like a ghost on death's door. I waved, leaving just me and the cuffed Annie in the room. I'd love to send you to your end myself, but I'm a law-abiding citizen and nixed that idea. Did you enjoy the gift I prepared for you? At this, Annie seemed to recall an old memory. You remembered even back then. I should have choked you when I had the chance. I chuckled softly, looking at Annie. Your mom killed herself. That mistress begged Dad to save you. Dad had arranged the suspended sentence for you and later medical parole. But I spent a bit and foiled his plan. Annie slammed the table in rage, her eyes fierce-like when she tossed my 1-year-old sister into the pool at our house. It was you, filthy bitch. I placed a faded little baby costume before her. Back then, I was only 3. Dad brought the mistress and her home when Mom wasn't around. I said I'd give this big sister a gift, but she threw my sister in the pool right before my eyes and choked me. I ended up in the hospital with oxygen loss, but when I woke up, I pretended I remembered nothing, not even that I ever had a sister. Annie, I told you once, lions will wait a long time before going for the neck when the time is right. I picked a drug with the longest injection time, a slow death. Feel your life slip away just like my sister watched hers. I turned away, leaving Annie in a wild fury, pointing a shaking finger at me. You bitch. All this just to use everyone. Even Charlie's your pawn. He's no different from me. I shut the door, ignoring her screams, and smiled at the guard nearby. I believe I can watch as she's injected, right? Charlie will never know how I deliberately reached out to him. Everyone will remember me as the innocent one, cheated by a sister who killed his fiancée and let down by the fiancée herself. I touched my face, the redness around my eyes looking especially pitiful in the reflection. I've suffered so much heartbreak in life. Psych.